The story begins with a young woman named Vanessa, who lives alone in a luxurious house in an upscale neighborhood. One night, while chatting with someone online, she hears a car pull up outside. It's already late and she isn't expecting anyone, so she immediately feels uneasy. Vanessa is already stressed about something. In her messages, she keeps saying that she has a bad feeling and is worried about something. Clearly, something is wrong in her life. Things get even worse when someone starts banging on the back door. Whoever is outside is someone Vanessa definitely doesn't want to see. Yet for some reason, she opens the door anyway. The unknown visitor rushes inside and attacks her. Vanessa tries to fight back, but she's already weak and bleeding from her nose. Desperate to survive, she runs into the basement and hides inside a closet. Realizing that her end may be near, she scratches something onto the wall with a paintbrush. But by then, the visitor has already found her. The closet door is ripped open, and Vanessa is dragged out. The screen suddenly cuts to black. All we hear are Vanessa's screams, making it seem like she has been murdered. 1 month later, a for sale sign stands outside Vanessa's house. A couple named Joel and Charlotte arrive to look at the property. Charlotte is an interior designer, and she instantly falls in love with the layout. Her mind is already full of renovation ideas. Joel, on the other hand, is a criminal lawyer. To him, everything seems too perfect. The beautiful house, the great neighborhood, and the surprisingly low price. When he questions the realtor, Trut, he learns the truth. However, Joel makes it clear that he doesn't want Charlotte to know anything about it. As a result, the couple moves into the house the very next week. Charlotte is excited about the new place and eagerly starts setting everything up herself. She decides to turn the basement into her home office because it's spacious and quiet. Meanwhile, Joel sets up his office upstairs overlooking the backyard. While checking the house, Charlotte notices that the lock on the back door feels loose. She goes to help Joel move some boxes and picks up one of them, but Joel immediately stops her and insists on handling his own belongings. The reaction feels strangely aggressive. As soon as Charlotte leaves, Joel secretly pulls an envelope out of that box. It's obvious that there's something inside he doesn't want her to see. The next day, the couple receives an invitation to a party hosted by a man named Rick Bridgers. At first, they assume he's just another neighbor, but after seeing his picture in the newspaper, they discover that Rick is not only a wealthy businessman, but also a well-known philanthropist who has done a lot for the community. Around town, people practically treat him like a celebrity. Excited by the invitation, Joel and Charlotte attend the party the following evening. The moment they arrive, they realize that Rick isn't just rich, he's unbelievably rich. His mansion, luxury cars, and expensive lifestyle make that very clear. Rick and his wife Serena warmly welcome them. Within minutes, Charlotte and Serena become friends. For most of the evening, Serena fills her in on local gossip and neighborhood stories. Everything is going well until another neighbor named Lori joins the conversation. Lori lives directly across the street from Charlotte's house. When Serena introduces Charlotte, Lori suddenly blurts out, "Oh, so you're the one who moved into the murder house." Lori is clearly drunk, but her words completely ruin Charlotte's mood. Back home, she tries to discuss it with Joel, but he brushes the topic aside. Not wanting to argue, Charlotte lets it go. However, after Charlotte falls asleep, Joel secretly makes a phone call. "This isn't good," he says. "She wasn't supposed to find out." That confirms it. Joel knows exactly what happened in that house, yet he's hiding the truth from Charlotte. The following day, while setting up her basement office, Charlotte notices red stains on the floor that look suspiciously like dried blood. She shows them to Joel, but he dismisses them as chemical stains. The truth, however, is far darker. Vanessa took her final breath on that exact spot. Charlotte doesn't know that yet, but her suspicions are growing. Later, she finds a fire hook in the basement closet with the same reddish stain on it. Now she's convinced that something terrible happened there. The next day, Serena invites her to lunch at the town's exclusive members-only club. During lunch, the two women grow even closer. Serena opens up about her personal life and reveals that she and Rick are trying to adopt a child. Most of the process is already complete, and only the paperwork remains. She also tells Charlotte more about Lori and her husband Tate. According to Serena, Tate and Lori were once extremely wealthy, but Tate lost nearly everything through bad cryptocurrency investments. Overnight, their luxurious lifestyle disappeared. They had to leave behind their mansion, expensive vacations, and comfortable life and start over from scratch in this small town. Rick helped them get back on their feet by arranging a low-rent office space for Tate. Because of that, Serena says Lori's bitterness is understandable. Normally, she's a reasonable woman, but once she starts drinking, she's impossible to control. Charlotte listens, but her real interest isn't Lori. She wants answers about the house. When she asks Serena directly what happened there, Serena avoids the question and claims there's nothing worth talking about. At that moment, Charlotte notices something strange. A waitress at the club keeps staring at her. Earlier, when the words murder house were mentioned, the waitress looked so shocked that she dropped her tray. Yet Serena acted as if nothing had happened. The entire situation feels suspicious. Charlotte becomes obsessed with uncovering the truth. While unpacking later, she discovers several letters addressed to Vanessa. She realizes Vanessa was the previous owner of the house. Certain that the mystery is connected to her, Charlotte searches online and learns about Vanessa's death. According to official reports, it was simply a domestic accident. But that doesn't make sense. If Vanessa died in an accident, why did Lori call it a murder house? Determined to find out more, Charlotte visits Tate's office the next day and questions him directly. Tate explains that Vanessa accidentally fell down the stairs, broke her neck, and died. A tragic accident, nothing more. As for Lori, he says she tends to see conspiracies everywhere and shouldn't be taken seriously. To reassure Charlotte, Tate even shows her footage from his front door security camera. The recordings clearly show that on the day Vanessa died, nobody entered or left her house. The police found no signs of forced entry, and Vanessa had no known enemies. She was simply a young, beautiful, ambitious woman who worked at the Stenson Club. Why would anyone want to kill her? Everything Tate says sounds reasonable, yet Charlotte still isn't convinced. Before leaving, she secretly copies the CCTV footage so she can examine it later herself. No matter how hard she tries to ignore it, her instincts keep telling her the same thing. Something about this story doesn't feel right. As she was leaving Tate's office, Joel called her. He had already returned home from work. Charlotte was eager to tell him everything she had learned. But at that very moment, Joel noticed that their back door was open. When he went to close it, someone suddenly attacked him. The attacker brutally beat him unconscious and then started searching through his office instead of leaving immediately. When Charlotte arrived home, the intruder was still inside. Terrified, she hid under a table and watched as the masked figure searched through Joel's files, looking for something specific. The moment the attacker finally left, Charlotte called an ambulance and informed the police. She also contacted Rick and Serena because they were the only people she really knew in town. Rick personally spoke to the officers and pushed them to treat the case as a top priority. Fortunately, Joel's injuries weren't serious. That same night, Charlotte returned home and began inspecting Joel's office. The room was completely trashed. Papers were scattered everywhere. Whoever had broken in was clearly searching for something important. As Charlotte cleaned up the mess, an envelope caught her attention in the trash. Written on it was a familiar name, Vanessa Miller. Could this be the same Vanessa she had been investigating? Unfortunately, before she could examine it properly, the doorbell rang. It was Trudy, their realtor. Since she was also friends with Rick, she had already heard about Joel's attack and came to check on them. Charlotte immediately confronted her. "How could you hide something so important about this house? Isn't that illegal?" But Trudy explained that she had actually told Joel everything on the very first day they viewed the property. The accident was the reason the house had been sold at such a low price. She also revealed another important detail. Joel himself had asked her not to tell Charlotte anything. In fact, after Lori's drunken comment at the party, Joel had secretly called Trudy and complained that Charlotte had found out. It was obvious that Joel had been trying very hard to keep the truth hidden. Trudy then told Charlotte more about Vanessa. Vanessa had lived in the house with her grandmother. She had no parents and very few relatives. After her grandmother passed away, the house became hers. For a while, she fell in with the wrong crowd and made some bad choices, but eventually, she cut those people out of her life. Later, she got a job at the Stenson Club and slowly started rebuilding her future. Everything seemed to be getting better. Then suddenly, she died in that so-called accident. After hearing the full story, Charlotte finally understood the house's history. But one question still bothered her. Why had Joel gone to such lengths to hide it? The next day, while cleaning Joel's office, Charlotte finally examined the envelope she had found. That discovery only strengthened her suspicions. She became convinced that Joel somehow knew Vanessa personally and might even be connected to her death. When she later brought Joel home from the hospital, she wanted to confront him directly, but she knew he would probably find another excuse. So instead, she started investigating on her own. That night, after Joel fell asleep, Charlotte used his phone to unlock his laptop and searched for anything related to Vanessa. Eventually, she found a file. Unfortunately, just like the envelope, it was empty. Now Charlotte wondered if Joel had deliberately deleted everything. Just as she was thinking about it, Joel walked into the room and caught her. This time, she had no choice but to confront him. Surprisingly, Joel's explanation sounded reasonable. According to him, Vanessa had once contacted his secretary to schedule a consultation, but she never showed up. His secretary simply forgot to remove her name from the system. Later, when Joel learned the history of the house, he realized it was the same Vanessa. That's why he had hidden the file. He admitted that Charlotte was extremely picky when it came to houses. After she had fallen in love with the property and the neighborhood, he didn't want to lose the opportunity because of a past accident. It wasn't a murder, Joel insisted. It was just a tragic accident that could have happened anywhere. He knew that even hearing about the accident might have made Charlotte hesitate, so he chose not to tell her. Joel promised that was the entire truth. He had never met Vanessa, never spoken to her, and knew nothing else about her. After hearing his explanation, Charlotte finally calmed down. For the first time, she began wondering if she had been overthinking everything. But later that same night, while trying to focus on work, she noticed something strange outside. Someone was moving around in their backyard with a flashlight, searching for something. Charlotte rushed outside, but the person escaped before she could catch them. The only thing she managed to see was the vehicle driving away. Its license plate had a pink heart symbol on it. The next day, Charlotte finally decided to review the CCTV footage she had secretly copied from Tate. As she watched carefully, she made a shocking discovery. The footage had been edited. Several minutes were missing, possibly even hours, which meant Tate had lied, not only to her, but potentially to the police as well. But why? What reason would he have to manipulate evidence unless he had something to hide? Could Tate actually be the killer? While Charlotte was trying to figure that out, she stumbled upon another clue. This one was even more disturbing. While looking through the basement storage area, she noticed strange scratches on the wall. At first, they looked random, but after taking an impression of them on paper, she realized they formed a word: murder. The message had been hidden in a place where almost nobody would notice it. Who else could have written it except Vanessa herself? At that moment, Charlotte became completely convinced. Vanessa had not died in an accident. She had been murdered. Now there was only one way to prove it. Charlotte needed to find the original CCTV footage. The following day, she shared everything with Serena during another gathering. After hearing the story, Serena suggested going straight to the police, but Charlotte knew the police wouldn't act without solid evidence, so she asked Serena for help. Since Tate's office was located in one of Rick's buildings, Serena had access to a master key that could open almost any door there. That evening, while everyone else was distracted at a party, Charlotte and Serena secretly slipped into Tate's office and searched for the original footage. Unfortunately, they ran out of time. Before they could finish, Tate unexpectedly arrived with his colleague Molly. The two women quickly hid, and while hiding, they uncovered another shocking secret. Tate and Molly were having an affair. Charlotte secretly snapped a photo of them together as proof. But aside from that discovery, they found nothing useful. In the end, they were forced to leave empty-handed and return home. It was getting late, and Charlotte had completely forgotten that she was supposed to go on a date with Joel that evening. Naturally, Joel was upset. The moment he got home, he went out for a walk to cool off. Meanwhile, Charlotte took her dinner downstairs and continued working in her basement office. A while later, she heard footsteps upstairs and assumed Joel had returned. But then someone suddenly locked the basement door from the outside. Moments later, the gas was turned on. Gas quickly began spreading through the house, turning the entire place into a ticking time bomb. Down in the basement, Charlotte could smell it too. She desperately pounded on the door, but there was nothing else she could do. Luckily, Joel returned home in time and managed to stop a disaster. He assumed Charlotte had accidentally left the gas on while heating food, but Charlotte knew that wasn't true. Someone had entered the house. Someone was trying to kill her. Maybe the same person who had killed Vanessa. At this point, Charlotte could no longer ignore the warning signs. The next morning, she went straight to Tate's office and confronted him with the photo she had taken of him and Molly. She basically blackmailed him into telling the truth. At first, however, Tate's confession wasn't what she expected. He admitted that on the night Vanessa died, Lori wasn't home. He had secretly gone to visit Molly, and she later drove him back. Unfortunately for him, that entire encounter had been captured on his security cameras. To hide the affair, he deleted that section of the footage before showing it to anyone. According to Tate, it had nothing to do with Vanessa's death. Initially, Charlotte believed him, but when she carefully reviewed the original footage herself, she noticed something important. A black SUV had been parked outside Vanessa's house for a long time that night. Only a small portion of the vehicle was visible on camera. There was no license plate, and she couldn't see who was inside. Still, it was the first real clue she had found. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Once again, Charlotte found herself stuck with more questions than answers. Then, fate handed her a major breakthrough. While searching through a storage shed on her property, she discovered a hidden envelope that someone had carefully concealed. Inside were several photographs of Vanessa. In the pictures, she was wearing her work uniform. But what immediately caught Charlotte's attention were the injuries. Vanessa's face and neck were covered in fresh bruises. Some of the photos had been taken openly, while others appeared to be taken secretly. The abuser's face wasn't visible, but in one image, a hand could clearly be seen gripping Vanessa's throat, and on that hand was a very recognizable watch. The moment Charlotte saw it, she froze. She had seen that watch before. It belonged to Rick. Serena had even bragged about it at the party. At that instant, everything clicked. The black SUV in the footage was Rick's vehicle. Charlotte had seen it parked outside his mansion the very first night they visited. The horrifying truth became impossible to ignore. Rick had been abusing Vanessa, and if that was true, then maybe Rick was also her killer. Charlotte was finally getting close to the truth, but she knew she couldn't confront Rick without solid evidence. He was powerful, wealthy, and highly respected in the community. No one would arrest him based on suspicion alone. And then there was Serena. Charlotte felt terrible for her. She had no idea what kind of man her husband really was. For now, Charlotte focused on finding the person who had taken those photographs. Whoever it was had clearly been trying to help Vanessa. Since every photo appeared to be taken at the Stenson Club, Charlotte assumed the mystery witness probably worked there. That same day, she went to the club. As she was parking, she spotted a car with a pink heart sticker near the license plate. Immediately, she recognized it. It was the same vehicle she had seen outside her house before. Taking a chance, Charlotte left the envelope near the car, along with a note asking the owner to meet her. A short time later, someone showed up at her house. It was the same waitress from the Stenson Club, the same woman who had stared at Charlotte during lunch and dropped her tray when she heard the words, "Murder House." Charlotte had guessed it would be her. After reassuring the waitress that she was trying to expose Vanessa's killer, Charlotte shared everything she had discovered. Only then did the woman finally trust her. Her name was Michelle. She revealed that she and Vanessa had worked together at the Stenson Club and had been close friends. Michelle already knew about Rick. According to her, Rick had been sexually harassing Vanessa for a long time. Vanessa had tried to speak up once, but nobody believed her. Instead, people accused her of trying to destroy Rick's reputation. Rick was too powerful, too respected, too untouchable. Eventually, Vanessa stopped fighting because she knew speaking out would only make her life worse. But things got even darker. One day, Vanessa finally tried to resist him. Rick became violent. The injuries seen in the photographs came from that attack. Michelle also revealed that Vanessa had eventually decided she couldn't stay silent anymore. She planned to contact a lawyer and take legal action. But at the last moment, she got scared and missed the appointment. Not long afterward, she was dead. Charlotte already suspected who was responsible. Now, after hearing Michelle's story, she was completely certain. Rick had killed Vanessa. Determined to finally expose him, Charlotte decided she would tell Joel everything and reopen Vanessa's case. Now she had both evidence and a witness. But while she was making plans, she failed to notice that someone had quietly entered the house through the back door. Someone was standing right behind her. It was Rick. Surprisingly, Charlotte didn't back down. Instead, she confronted him directly. By now, she had figured out another piece of the puzzle. Rick had somehow learned that Vanessa had once tried to contact Joel. That's why he had become so friendly with Joel and Charlotte. He wanted to know how much Joel knew. That was also why he had secretly broken into their house and searched Joel's office. When he found nothing inside the envelope, his suspicion shifted toward Charlotte. From that moment on, he began following her. And eventually, he realized she had uncovered everything. Just as he had once tried to do with Vanessa, Rick offered Charlotte money in exchange for her silence. But Charlotte wasn't interested. She refused. Instead, she tried to escape and expose him. Unfortunately, Rick was faster. He struck her hard and knocked her unconscious. A short time later, Charlotte regains consciousness and finds herself locked inside Rick's wine cellar. Rick has kidnapped her and brought her to his house. Fortunately, Serena discovers her there. Desperate, Charlotte begs Serena to help her escape. For a moment, it seems like Serena might actually help, but then Rick walks in, and suddenly, everything changes. The truth is far worse than Charlotte imagined. Serena isn't an innocent bystander. She has been involved from the very beginning. She knew everything Rick had done and chose to protect him instead of stopping him. Charlotte is shocked. She never expected Serena to stand beside a killer. But then an even bigger twist is revealed. As Charlotte repeatedly accuses Rick of murdering Vanessa, Rick becomes furious. He strongly denies it. According to him, he wasn't even in town on the night Vanessa died. He was away with friends who could confirm his alibi. But Charlotte saw Rick's SUV outside Vanessa's house that night. In a small town like this, nobody else owned a vehicle like that. So if Rick wasn't there, who was driving it? The moment Charlotte asks that question, both she and Rick turn towards Serena. Serena's face goes pale. And finally, the real truth comes out. Rick wasn't Vanessa's killer. Serena was. That night, Serena drove Rick's SUV to Vanessa's house. Her original goal was to convince Vanessa to stay quiet, but Vanessa refused. She was determined to expose Rick and destroy his reputation. Serena felt trapped. If Rick's crimes became public, their entire life would collapse. His reputation would be ruined. Their future would be destroyed. Even their adoption plans would disappear. The family Serena desperately dreamed of would never exist. In her mind, she had too much to lose. So she made a horrifying choice. Using the fire hook later found in the basement closet, Serena struck Vanessa in the head and killed her. Afterward, she staged the scene to look like an accident. And it worked. The police never suspected murder. The case was closed. A few rumors spread through the neighborhood, but eventually people stopped talking about it. Everything was buried. Until Charlotte moved into the house. At first, Serena stayed close to Charlotte because she wanted to know exactly how much she was discovering. She never imagined Charlotte would get so close to the truth. She underestimated her completely. Now that Charlotte knows everything, Serena can't let her walk away. In Serena's mind, she has sacrificed too much already. She still believes that once they adopt a child, Rick will change and become a better person. She sees it as her last chance to save their future. And she is willing to do anything to protect that dream. Even kill again. As Rick and Serena discuss what to do with Charlotte, Joel returns home. When he can't find her, he goes down to her office. There he discovers the investigation board Charlotte has been working on. All the evidence is pinned together in one place. The photos, the SUV, the watch, everything. Joel immediately realizes what happened. Without wasting a second, he rushes to Rick's house. But the moment he enters, Rick attacks him. A violent fight breaks out between the two men. Eventually, Joel manages to overpower Rick and knocks him unconscious. But Serena isn't finished. She grabs a decorative object and smashes it over Joel's head. Joel collapses to the floor unconscious. Now Serena turns her attention toward Charlotte. She plans to kill her the same way, but before she can, Charlotte breaks through a glass barrier and escapes from the cellar. She immediately attacks Serena. Unfortunately, Serena fights back like a woman with nothing left to lose. She has become completely obsessed with the future she has imagined for herself. The struggle turns brutal. Serena throws Charlotte to the ground and begins choking her. Charlotte can barely breathe. Everything starts fading. Then, at the last second, her hand reaches a wine bottle. With all the strength she has left, Charlotte swings it and strikes Serena in the head. Serena collapses unconscious. This time, it's over. The police arrive shortly afterward. Charlotte presents all the evidence she has gathered throughout the investigation. Faced with the proof, the authorities finally reopen the case. Both Rick and Serena are arrested. After the trial, they are convicted and sentenced to 40 years in prison. 3 years later, the story jumps forward in time. Charlotte and Joel are still living in the same house. They have finally made peace with its dark past and truly turned it into their home. Charlotte is now pregnant and excited about the next chapter of her life. For the first time, the house that once held tragedy is filled with hope. And that's where the story comes to an end.